I don't know if there's a single player who has a bigger difference in what the general public thinks about them to what that fan base thinks about them than Josh Allen. Bills fans love Josh Allen. The rest of the league kind of thinks that he's terrible. So which is he? Well, he's not great or terrible. And let's just jump into it. First, let's start off with something he does well, which is going to be shown on this play. Basically, it's going to be a cover one blitz that they're going up against the Jets. And if you notice those routes, it's a lot of things over the middle. It's a lot of short routes. In fact, all of these routes are short. Not a single one is going past the first down marker. But that's okay. They don't want Allen to be taking these high-risk plays. They want to make things as easy as possible for Allen, and for a good reason. Allen's able to calmly look up. He sees a crossing route that's open, makes the throw, and they're able to get the first down. He runs after the catch and picks up the first down just like that. It's not a high degree of difficulty play, but, he can do these low degree of difficulty plays very successfully well. He has a high percentage of making these plays work, which is important, I think. Like, this play is another example on the same drive, same defensive formation they're going up against, cover one blitz, and now to have a receiver who's going to be basically faking as though he's cutting in, then he's going to run to the outside. That's where Allen wants to hit. It's a good route against this type of coverage, one-on-one matchup man. It can beat man pretty well. And if you notice, again, he gets open, and Allen makes a very good throw. Very easy to make those kind of plays. And he's good at those. He's good at those short routes over the middle. I would actually say that's probably the best aspect of his throwing game is just those short plays over the middle. Again, those are also the easiest plays to make, so maybe he shouldn't be getting too much credit for it, but you know what? You can work with that. You can do something with that. There is some value, and it's not like you have someone, if you can't make those throws, you completely can't work with that quarterback. It's just get rid of him, but he can make those throws. And to be honest, he can make those throws with higher consistency than a lot of, quarterbacks I think that the general public would say is better. So that's definitely a plus in the Josh Allen resume. But there definitely are some minuses as well. One of the biggest is, I think, pocket presence. I think he struggles with pocket presence. A lot of young players do. It's not Josh Allen specific. It's a lot of guys that when they're in the first few years in the league, they struggle with things like this. But this is an example of, this is going to be kind of a tougher play. I'll then show a bigger mistake, but what's going to happen on this play is that it's going to be cover 4 zone that the Bills are going up against, and first they're going to have a receiver running a deep route, and the idea is that hopefully, both Giants who are covering deep will both take away that deep route, in which case when another Bills player can run underneath, and he sort of starts off further away from the sideline but ends up closer to the sideline. The hope in the whole idea of this play design is that he gets open. It is better against cover 3, but it can still work against cover 4. I mean, just think about it logically. If there's one extra defender in the area, there's one more guy who can realize what's going on and run over and defend it. But after the ball is snapped, you notice that this play is definitely working out pretty well. I mean, you look at the players running deep, and both the New York Giants defenders who are in the area, the one who's closest to the sideline has his back turned, and that's really the important one to watch. The other one is facing that way. Maybe he's going to cut over close to the sideline, but probably not. There is a very high likelihood that Bills player is going to get open. And also, now look back at Allen. There's some pressure right here. Allen pretty much has to make his decision right now. He has to either throw it there, or he can just take a check down. That's totally okay too. He can try to run with the ball. He can throw it away. He could even take a sack. All of those options would have been better than what he ended up doing. Not because he fumbles or throws an interception, but because he could have. Watch how when he sees the pressure, he's still going to try to run around from it. Right when he saw that pressure, he didn't notice it at first because it was coming from behind him. But once he's realized it, he still tried to run and get away, which is just a mistake and something that can't happen. You have to know when it's too late and when you should just go down, or when you can still throw the ball away. And again, these are difficult things. You don't have eyes in the back of your head. It's hard to notice it. But, that's the thing, is he just doesn't notice those, and a lot of guys in the league do. And also, more importantly, a lot of guys just make their decisions quicker, where, yes, there was no way of knowing that the pressure was there, but there's plenty of reasons to guess that pressure could get there quickly, because the play had lasted for a long enough time. And I do think Allen probably does have to make his decisions a little bit quicker and hesitate a little bit less. But there's also this play, and this was in that playoff game. So just to set the stage, this is a third down situation. They're in field goal range, and they're down by 3 late in the fourth quarter. So this is a very important play right here. There's actually only 2 minutes left. So you're in the final 2 minutes. You think you need a field goal here. As we all know, they're not going to get a field goal on this drive, but they do get it later to force overtime. But the idea is that you probably are going to need a field goal here to tie things up. And what's going to happen for the Texans is they want to knock him out of field goal range. Obviously, of course, for Buffalo, they'd love the touchdown. So it's a very big point in this game. But for the Texans, they want to knock him out of field goal range, which is why what you see on the screen, the twist right there, that's what they're going to do. It's a pretty good way to sometimes generate some pressure. It can fool opposing offensive linemen, and that's what it does. I mean, right when the ball is snapped, they both get relatively completely untouched and have straight pressure to Allen. So you know what? Listen, this isn't Allen's fault, right? Obviously it isn't. Allen just took the snap, and now all of a sudden there's, pressure right in his face. It's a coaching thing, you could say, or just blame the offensive lineman in general. I don't know who you want to blame, but either way, Allen is in trouble right here. But that's okay. Just throw the ball away, or, maybe try to hit a Buffalo Bills player. There's one I can see that maybe you could try and throw it to. But probably just get rid of the ball and allow your kicker to try to tie the game. But this is kind of going back to what I was talking about on that last play, where once he saw pressure, he still tried to run away from the pressure instead of just accepting the fact that it's not going to happen. Well, on this play, the exact same thing happens, where 2 guys are completely untouched. You're not going to get away from this. But instead, he's going to run backwards to try to get away from the pressure, and then he tries to throw it away while going down, which was intentional grounding, and it knocked them out of field goal range, where they then had to go for it on 4th down, where Allen got sacked again and lost many more yards. They did eventually, as we all know, come back and tie the game, but lose in overtime. And it's a mistake that can't happen, and he does those kind of mistakes relatively frequently, and it's something he needs to work on. I'm going to be talking about a few more negatives, so it's not just that one. There's a few more. One other negative is going to be a play like this, where, and trust me, don't worry, I will get into positives, more positives too, but it's going to be, so that's the first down marker right there. What you're going to see is that it's, about, 8 yards down the field. And what is Buffalo doing? They're running a screen pass. Now, this screen pass doesn't exactly work well at all. I mean, it was just dropped right when he tried to make the catch. So it was just a disaster. And I think that's what's really interesting about this play is not that Josh Allen did anything wrong, because he couldn't do anything wrong. It was a screen pass. The reason why I'm showing this as a negative is because on a 3rd down and 8, the coaching staff didn't have trust in him to try and throw it down the field. I mean, they're treating a 3rd down and 8 like other teams treat 3rd down and 18, and I just don't know how much faith they really had in Allen, and it seemed like a lot of their idea was, hey, let's not have Allen lose us these football games. Let's be okay with punting the ball back to the defense where, our defense can play really well. And clearly that was smart strategy. I mean, they made the playoffs playing that way, but there definitely is some truth to the fact that, honestly, there are reasons why you maybe shouldn't trust Allen. Like on this play, it's going to be a cover 1 play. It's a cover 1 blitz. And, they have a receiver running deep. Maybe it could get open once he gets past the safety. It will take a while, but if it does get open, it might be worth a shot to, take a chance. You're playing New England. You might have to take some chances here. But what's going to happen right when the ball is snapped is you look right over there, and a New England player fell down right here. Looks like he got injured. So because of that, just a complete fluke and a great break that worked towards you. So now all Allen has to do is flip it out to his halfback, who can now run for a ton of yards because it's man coverage and a cover 1. So there's no one else in the area. And, every New England player where there is someone in the area, you have a blocker too. I mean, if things go perfectly well, this could end up as a touchdown. That seems unlikely, but you should at least get the first down and gain plenty more yards. But Allen doesn't notice this because he's just looking downfield. That's all he's thinking about. So the halfback is waving his hands, wanting to get the ball in his direction, but he sees Allen and knows it's not going to work. However, deep down the field, it's not a terrible situation. I mean, it is double coverage, but, there's a situation where if Allen throws the ball closer to the sideline and gets it deep enough, there is a window where this can work. Not a huge window, but there is a window. And as we all know, Allen has a cannon of an arm. However, he's not very accurate with it. And watch how he throws it up, and he just doesn't throw far enough, which results in the interception. He also put too much air under it, where that distance itself wouldn't have been terrible if it was more of a drive, but with too much air under it and not far enough, it gave defensive back time to come back and make the play. It would have taken a really good throw, so I would say it already wasn't a great decision, and obviously missing the wide open guy who had no one covering him was definitely not great either. But one of the things, too, is I just think Allen, down the field, he's just not accurate. And, it just has to be said. It's a weakness in his game. That's fine. We don't have to freak out over it. Let's just talk about what his weaknesses are and what his strengths are. That's one of his weaknesses. In fact, I'm sure Buffalo Bills haters and Josh Allen's haters will say that there's plenty of weaknesses, and sometimes even the plays that seem good on the stat sheet aren't necessarily good because of him. Like this play, it's a cover 4 zone. It's going to be play action, have a receiver running over the middle. The idea is that since they're going up against zone coverage, players will get out of position. This could create a gap that Allen could have a pretty good window to try to throw it and see if he can make a completion. That's what's supposed to happen here. And after the ball is snapped, it doesn't work good. It works great. Look at how open you have someone there. Allen has no pressure. This is just a beautiful situation. I mean, you can't get much better opportunities than this in the NFL. And it is going to be a completion, but Allen's throw is too high, which causes his receiver to have to leap up to make the grab, and he falls down once he makes the catch because he had to leap up and make the grab. If he didn't, throw it too high like that, he can probably catch it while moving and maybe even get a touchdown, but at least get another 10 yards or so. And that's kind of the thing. I mean, listen, even Josh Allen's biggest fans will say, well, yeah, he's not the most accurate. Like, no one's going to deny that. But then why do people like him? Well, I'll show a play like this. I think this is the perfect example of why Bills fans like him so much. It's going to be a one-on-one matchup. He has a receiver, Brown, running deep on the bottom of the screen. That's where he wants to throw it to. Just to set the stage and the situation right here. It's a 3rd down and 4. The Bills are down 6 points. There's 3 minutes left. So, they have all 3 timeouts left. So if they don't convert here, I would imagine they would go for it. And even if they don't get it, it's not the end of the world, but it's looking pretty bleak. And you really want to get a touchdown here. And after the ball is snapped, you're going to notice that Brown gets no separation. I mean, none whatsoever. You want to try and make a throw. There's an opportunity. The main thing is that the New York Jets defender, he's turned his back, so you can try and throw it over him. That's something you can do if you want to, but again, that's a tough throw to make, and it's deep down the field. So Allen is going to do something a little bit different. He's just going to throw it straight into both of them, and Brown tracks it down. The defensive back didn't, and he's able to make a good play and get the touchdown. I mean, listen, you can sit here all you want and say that that's a bad idea, and you know what? There's some logic behind it. There's a defensive back who all he had to do was turn around, and that's an interception. But at the same time, it was a 3rd down and 4 situation. So even if it was an interception, you're only costing yourself one chance, and you're getting the ball further down the field. In a vacuum, you could easily argue that this is not the correct decision to make, but in a situation like this, when you absolutely have to try and find a way to, come back and win this game, you're running out of opportunities, it's okay to take chances. And that's what people like about Josh Allen, is he's someone who takes chances. He's someone who late in the game, he would rather put up terrible numbers but win the game than lose the game but put up great numbers, any day of the week. That's just kind of the guy he is. He doesn't care if it risks another interception going on the stat sheet. He wants to win. And that's the thing about Josh Allen, really. I mean, I think the reason why a lot of people like him is he's just fun to watch. He's just fun. I mean, yes, when he fumbled the ball on the Thanksgiving Day game and then picked it up and jumped over the 1st down marker, that was awesome. Yes, of course, it would have been better if he just didn't fumble the ball at all and hopped over and got the 1st down. But you know what? That's part of the charm of Josh Allen, is he's an imperfect player, but he's just fun to watch, and he's just someone you want to root for. Yes, when he's in that playoff game and he's lateraling the ball to an offensive lineman well past the 1st down marker with plenty of time left, you're wondering, what is he doing? But again, that's part of the charm of Josh Allen, and a lot of times these things can be successful. There's also one other thing I want to talk about, and it's the fact that I pretty much only talk about his passing ability, and pretty much every Buffalo Bills fan will tell you, yeah, we know he's not accurate deep down the field. We know he sometimes misses these even medium range throws. We know he isn't always the best at going through his progressions and looking around, and sometimes he struggles with pocket presence. All of that may be true, and yes, that's a lot of things. But that's not what we like about him. That's not why we think he's great. One of the real things that he's great at is running with the football. He had over 500 rushing yards last year. That's not easy to do as a quarterback. Like on this play, in that playoff game, that's going to be the blocks that you would expect right over there. They're also going to pull 2 offensive linemen, and, they will block the first 2 Houston players who run over and get in the area. So that's the way this play is going to work. And again, you could do this with any quarterback theoretically. It's a quarterback run, but it obviously works way better with Josh Allen. And watch how, he just gets in position. He kind of takes his time, but then he just goes off and he just has so much speed. He's able to outrun defensive backs. I mean, not many guys can do that. And he gets all the way inside the 20. And that really set the tone for the beginning of that playoff game. Like this play's another example where they're going up against a cover 2 man. And so for the Bills, listen, you're at the 10-yard line. So for a lot of teams, you would only have so many different options. It's 2nd down and 8. So, you only have 2 shots here. A lot of times you pretty much have to pass it twice here. Maybe you could try and run it, but really no. I mean, a running play wouldn't really do much. You pretty much have to try and pass it twice. But watch what Buffalo is going to do. They're going to have their 4 receivers on the edge all run out towards the sideline. Also worth noting, there is no back in the game. There is one, but he's sent out wide. This is 5 wide right here. So there is, nobody protecting Allen. It's just the 5 offensive linemen and 4 defensive linemen in that area. And the reason why that's so important is it's going to get basically every defensive back out of the area. One receiver will run over to block a Cleveland player. And then what they can do is they can simply just, have their center and left guard double team an interior defensive lineman and have the right guard just allow himself to get beat to his right. And that's going to clear a gap up the middle. And so then what they can do is, because they clear that gap at the middle, because the defensive players are expecting it to be a passing play, which makes it very easy to run block, they can do that. It's a quarterback draw, and Allen is easily able to run up and get into the end zone. And that's just the kind of thing where, with Josh Allen, he opens up the playbook. So yes, he also closes the playbook in certain areas. I mean, you're not going to do certain things too much, but at the same time, he gives you a whole new set of plays you can do that you just don't have with most quarterbacks. He also is somebody who tends to be very good late in games. There's no real perfect way to quantify that, but it does seem like he comes through when he has to more often than not. So I think that there's just a lot of good with Josh Allen, and there's a lot of bad. So he's an interesting guy. I mean, am I going to sit here and say that the Bills should definitely not move on from him? I'm kind of from the school of thought of you should always try and find someone better at any position, and that includes the quarterback position. So if you can find an improvement, then go for it. But at the same time, I also am not going to be someone who's going to sit here and say he's just garbage, because I don't think he is. I think he has a lot of talent. But lastly, I want to say that I find it weird that as sports fans, we kind of sit here and almost act like we're supposed to think about things like Madden. Like we're supposed to just, when we see a player that we've liked for a decade get traded away, if it's a good deal, we're supposed to say, yay. Sometimes you are still happy about it, but there's also an element of disappointment as well, because, you lost a player that you liked so much. And I think that's the last factor, is that for Buffalo Bills fans, they just like Josh Allen. He's just a likable guy. And I'm not saying that's the only thing they like about him. There's plenty of stuff on the field that you can like about him too. But when he's a likable guy, and when you feel like you always have a chance to win games, even if you're down 14 points in the 4th quarter because of him, well, it makes sense to like someone like that. And especially with Buffalo, I mean, they've had to go through a carousel of quarterbacks for a little bit. So having some sort of consistency, it makes a lot of sense. And listen, there's a lot to like about Allen. There really is. There's plenty to dislike as well too. And you can argue back and forth, but really I think it all just comes down to, what do you value in a quarterback? And if you value certain things, you can absolutely sit here and say Allen is a good quarterback. If you don't value those things, you can sit here and say that, Allen is a trash quarterback. A lot of it just depends on what you value. I think he definitely is interesting, and also worth mentioning. He improved drastically from year 1 to year 2. So let's see what he does in year 3, and let's see if he can continue to improve. He's still young. Quarterbacks take a while to develop, so it'd be silly to write someone off in any direction after just 2 seasons, I think. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Sorry this episode went a little bit long, but a lot to discuss when talking about Allen. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.